Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a really fascinating journey into some ancient ethical dilemmas,
We are. We're looking at excerpts from Sanghadisesa.
which is part of the Buddhist monastic law, the Vinaya.
Exactly. And it's a deep dive that reveals how specific rules often came directly from real life events, not just abstract ideas.
Okay, let's unpack this. It sounds like these texts are almost like case studies.
That's a great way to put it. They give us this unique window into the early monastic community. They really highlight the intricate ethical thinking, how this detailed code of conduct evolved from very human situations.
And today we're focusing on one monk in particular, right? Udāyi.
Yes, Udāyi. His actions, maybe well-meaning at first, caused some significant issues.
And led directly to a key monastic rule being created.
That's right. Our mission really is to understand this rule about Saṃghādisesa.
Which means acting as a go-between in relationships.
Essentially, yes, for romantic or marital purposes. But it's more than just the rule. It shows how incredibly detailed these ancient texts were in tackling, well, human behavior.
So let's picture the scene. We're in Sāvatthī, and we meet Ayasma Udāyi. He's known as a Kulupako. What does that mean exactly?
It means he was a monk who often visited families, sort of integrated into the community fabric.
Okay, and he had this reputation for playing matchmaker.
You could say that. He'd apparently praise a young man to the woman's parents or vice versa, encourage a match, often saying things like, oh, I know them, I know the family.
Which sounds maybe helpful on the surface.
In some contexts, perhaps. But for a monk getting that deeply involved in, arranging marriages, it could quickly get ethically complicated, blurring lines.
And it certainly did here.
Yeah.
Tell us about the first incident.
Right. So there was this daughter of an old Ganaki.
Ganaki, what's that?
Well, it could mean an accountant, maybe even a courtesan. The text isn't perfectly clear on her profession, but her daughter was described as beautiful and pleasant.
Okay, and some men wanted to marry her.
Yes, a group of traveling Ajivika disciples. They were from out of town.
And the mother wasn't keen.
Understandably not. She said basically, I don't know you people. You're from far away. This is my only daughter. She was hesitant.
So naturally they go to Udāyi.
Exactly. Knowing his reputation, they asked for his help.
And he stepped in.
He did. He went to the mother, vouched for the Ajivikas, just said, I know them.
And that was enough.
Apparently so. Based on his word, the mother agreed, and her daughter was given in marriage.
Wow. But things didn't go well.
No, tragically not. The text says for only a month, she was treated as a daughter-in-law Suchisabhojana.
Okay, like a proper family member?
Right. But then things changed drastically. She was exploited, treated like a slave, dasabhojana.
Oh, that's awful. What happened then? Could she get help?
Well, she tried. She managed to send a message to her mother.
So the mother went to confront the Ajivikas.
Yes, but they just dismissed her. They basically said, look, we dealt with the monk, the samadha, not you. Go away.
Harsh. Very. So the daughter sent another message. The mother then went to Udāyi, pleading, explaining how her daughter was suffering.
And did Udāyi intervene this time?
He tried. He went to the Ajivikas himself.
Yeah.
They rebuffed him too. They said their interaction was with the Ganaki, the mother, not him, and they added that a monk should be avivayena, unengaged, not meddling in these affairs.
So they used his monastic status against him.
Precisely. It's quite ironic. So the daughter sent a third message, but Udāyi.
Let me guess, he refused.
He did. Having been rebuffed already, he wouldn't help again.
What a mess. And the public reaction?
It was really divided, as you might expect. The daughter and mother, understandably distraught, cursed Udāyi publicly, wished him suffering.
But others were happy with him.
Yes, women who had been happily married through his efforts actually praised him and wished him well. It shows just how complicated these situations were.
Yeah, good intentions gone wrong, leading to very mixed outcomes.
Exactly. And all these complaints, the good and the bad, eventually reached the other monks, especially the more serious ones.
Yeah, picha, yes. Those monks known for having few desires, the virtuous ones, they started questioning Udāyi's Saṃghādisesa, his go-between activities.
And they took it higher up.
They reported it to the Buddha.
So the Buddha confronts Udāyi.
Yes, and Udāyi admits what he did.
And the Buddha's reaction.
He admonished him quite strongly. He said these actions don't inspire confidence in those who lack faith, nor do they increase it in those who already believe. And that's when the first part of the rule was laid down.
Okay, what was his specific wording?
A monk who acts as a go-between for a woman to a man or a man to a woman for the purpose of wifehood, jayatine, or karamorship, drakatake, incurs a Sanghadisesa offense.
Sanghadisesa. That sounds serious.
Oh, it is. It's the second most serious category of offense in the Vinaya. It's not a small thing.
What does it involve?
It requires a formal meeting of the whole monastic community, the Sangha, to deal with it. Often involves temporary suspension, probation, penance. It's a major issue.
So this rule came directly out of that really messy, tragic situation.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It shows how responsive the law was trying to be to real-world problems affecting the community's reputation and integrity.
But Udāyi's story isn't over yet, is it? There's another incident.
That's right. His matchmaking tendencies led to a further refinement of the rule.
What happened this time?
This time, it involved a group described as duta.
Duta?
Rascals, libertines, maybe hedonists. They wanted to meet a Vesya, a courtesan, in a park. For recreation.
Okay, and the courtesan refused.
Initially, yes. She said she didn't know them, had too much stuff to move, didn't want to go outside the city. Practical objections.
And someone suggests Udāyi again.
Unbelievably, yes. Someone said maybe the venerable Udāyi could arrange it.
Wow, was there any pushback?
Oh, yes. An upasaka, a lay follower, immediately protested, said something like, hey, Sakyapatiya monks shouldn't be doing things like this.
But others were curious if he would do it.
Seemed so. There was some debate. But sure enough, the rascals approached Udāyi.
And he actually went through with it.
He did. Went to the courtesan, vouched for the men, I know them, his usual line, and convinced her to go.
So the rascals took the courtesan to the park.
And that lay follower who protested earlier, he wasn't happy.
I bet. He complained again.
He did. He specifically complained about Udāyi's takenki sanyakarita.
Meaning?
His temporary go-between activity for this, short-term arrangement.
Not marriage or long-term paramourship, just a temporary liaison.
Exactly. And that complaint also made its way up through the monks to the Buddha.
So, another confrontation with Udāyi.
Yes. Again, Udāyi admitted it.
And the rule was changed.
It was expanded. The Buddha added the phrase antamaso tahakapi.
Which means?
Even for a temporary arrangement. Basically closing that loophole. Whether it's for marriage, a long-term affair, or even just a momentary thing, it's still an offense.
So Udāyi, through these two incidents, really shaped this whole rule.
He was definitely the catalyst. His actions forced the community and the Buddha to clarify the boundaries very precisely.
Okay, so let's dive into that precision. What exactly is Sanghadisesa? You mentioned messenger.
Right. At its core, it's acting as that communication channel, conveying a woman's intentions to a man, or vice versa, specifically for romantic or sexual connection.
And the terms jayatan and jarmene.
Jayatan is specifically about intending to make someone a wife, formal marriage. Jartana is about intending to make someone a paramour, an illicit lover, essentially.
And then the addition antamaso takan kaipi, covering even the briefest arrangement.
Yes, even for a moment. Or, as the text clarifies, if the arrangement is muhutika, temporary.
The level of detail is amazing. It makes you think about the social context. You mentioned different types of women.
Yes, the Vinaya commentaries go into incredible detail here, showing just how aware they were of the social complexities. There's a list called the 10 ithio, 10 types of women under protection.
Protected by who?
By their mother, father, both parents, brother, sister, relatives, even their clan or their religious community, Damarakita.
Okay.
And it includes women who are already engaged, maybe just symbolically with a garland, saraka, or even women protected by a penalty or fine. Saperide, meaning there's a known consequence for associating with her improperly.
Wow. And types of wives, too.
Yes, the Dasa Varyo, 10 types of wives. This list is fascinating.
Give us some examples.
Okay, so there's the wife purchased with wealth, Dhanakita, one living with her partner out of affection, Chandabasini, one maybe for property, Bhogavasina, or even just for clothes, Pavasini.
Right.
It suggests different kinds of dependencies or arrangements. Then there are wives married through symbolic acts, like touching a water pot, Odapatakini, or interestingly, Opatakumbat, putting down a burden, which might imply she was freed from servitude through the marriage.
That's quite specific.
It is. And it continues. A woman who is both a slave and a wife, dasikabarika. One who is both a worker and a wife, gamakavikaparida. One captured in war, dasiha. And finally, the temporary wife, muhutika.
Tying back to that temporary arrangement rule, It covers every conceivable status, it seems.
It really tries to. It shows they weren't just thinking about ideal situations, but the messy reality of social structures.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. How exactly does a monk commit the offense? What are the steps?
Right, the mechanics of it. For the most serious offense, the Sanghadisesa, 3 actions need to be completed.
3 steps. What are they?
First, the monk has to receive the message or request pagatati.
Okay, step 1. Receive the request.
Step 2, they have to investigate or inquire about it. Vimasati, check things out, maybe see if the other person is interested.
Right, do the groundwork.
And step 3, they have to report back or convey the message successfully, pakarati. Deliver the news, make the connection.
So, receive, investigate, report back. All 3 equals Sanghadisesa.
Correct. If all 3 are done, it's the full offense.
What if they only do 1 or 2?
If they only complete 2 steps, say, receive the request and investigate, but don't manage to report back, it's a thulakaya.
Yeah.
Still serious, needs confession, but less severe than Sanghadisesa.
And just 1 step. Like, someone asks, and the monk just takes the message but does nothing more.
That, or if they try to complete the request, but maybe the person isn't available, that usually falls under dukkhaya. A minor offense often just requires a simple confession to another monk.
It's like a legal code with
Yeah.
different levels of culpability.
Very much so, extremely precise.
So given all this strictness, are there any exceptions? Any anapati situations where it's not an offense?
Yes, the texts are clear about exceptions too. Anapati, no offense applies in several cases.
Like what?
Well, if the target person, the woman, is unavailable, maybe she's asleep, dead, gone away.
Practical reasons.
Right. Or if the person isn't actually identifiable as a woman, aniti, or is what the text calls an itipetaka, perhaps an intersex person with female characteristics, where the situation is ambiguous.
Interesting.
What else?
Crucially, there's no offense that the monk is acting for the benefit of the Sangha itself, the community,
Okay.
or for a satya, like a shrine or stupa,
Uh-huh.
or if they're helping a sick person. Necessities, essentially.
That makes sense. Any others?
If the monk is considered insane, umattakasa, they aren't held culpable.
Right.
And as we mentioned, the very first offender, Udāyi himself, the Adhikamikasa, was exempt at the exact moment the rule was made because his actions caused the rule.
Ah, okay. Like a grandfather clause.
Sort of. And importantly, helping to reconcile a married couple who had a fight, say, a wife went back to her mother's house that's not considered sanyakarita for romantic purposes, that's seen as restoring harmony, not matchmaking.
That's a really important distinction. Helping versus initiating. Precisely. Oh, and one more detail. Acting as a go-between for a pakta, usually understood as a eunuch or possibly an intersex male that incurs the lesser thulakaya offense, not the full Sanghadisesa.
Again, incredible nuance.
It really is. They tried to cover all angles.
It's just remarkable how these, ancient rules are so deeply rooted in real life, in human messiness, and the need to keep the monastic community, well, respectable and trustworthy.
Exactly. They're not just dry legalisms. They're vibrant snapshots of a community grappling with real ethical challenges, with responsibility, with the impact of their actions on wider society. It shows this immense effort to draw clear lines, to prevent harm, avoid scandal, and maintain that public trust.
Yeah.
This raises an important question, doesn't it?
It really does. What does this deep dive into ancient monastic law actually tell us today about, the universal challenges of ethical behavior, the tightrope walk of being an intermediary, and just how complex even seemingly simple social interactions can be then and now?